here partly because my dad is obsessed with learning about the Opium Wars, and so yeah, before I came, I called him up and was like, Dad, I'm going to write a poem about this, and I wish you could be here, and so what should I write about? He told me, and I wrote the opposite. My dad's personal favorite bedtime story was the one about how the British nearly destroyed an entire country with a single flower they called a poppy, turning a handful of seeds and a pipe, turning our forefathers into a nation of junkies. The moral being, don't take drugs. He always ended with a note on karma, his Schadenfreude reading in the papers of the decadent young Westerners and their drug problems, every decadent Western superstar of radio, screen, and stage who overdosed at far, far too early an age. Sorry, too soon, Whitney Houston. How the thing you started comes back to bite you in the end. He never told me the sequel, though, of how his daughter would one day fly away and meet them. And I imagine the first Mr. Smith in a dorm room saying, "Now hold it in your lungs a couple seconds." So that's it. And I see the first ancestor exhaling, looking up for approval, wondering if he's cool yet maybe deciding it's stupid but going along anyway. And I wonder if he coughed his brains out the first time like me. And I wondered if he opened one eye and raised an eyebrow at Smithy. He's going, "Dude, you should hit it a few more times." And I remembered how that first time felt, opening one eye to my American roommate smiling at me, feeling like a cliche, the kid in my father's cautionary tale. But outside, the sky was an endless bucket of crystals. And I wonder how that first time felt, how the way the stars looked that first night, that first hit that made a nation of stoners, junkies, junkie coolies, coolie junkies, cool junk, hot bunk punks, the way the stars looked that first night to the first white beatnik, pothead, cokehead junkie who spent too much time / enough time with the colored people / Mexican / jazz band / bad company. I decided to call it cultural exchange, so that we have to let go at some point and stop wondering. I figured Hong Kong had paid my dues, and I decided to call this tribal loyalty, because I wasn't the white guy with a karma burden. And I was proud to call myself a stoner for years, until I came to London and started visiting detention centers and met this Vietnamese Londoner there. They were trying to deport to a country she hadn't lived in 30 years, who only ever said cannabis when I asked her how she got there. She swore it was a plot by a family friend in a gang she had nothing to do with, and though I still have no idea what she did or even if she did it, I've been trying to work out since then how many gangs, how many innocent people have paid the price for every king-size spliff. Because since the 19th century, it's been the same guys who decide who gets to be the culprit, match the drug to the face and paint a culture with it. Just like whether or not my friend who looks kind of Somalian is carrying it, I have to walk 15 feet behind him and keep his student ID in my pocket, because he will get stopped on the street, because he's 19 and likes to wear a hoodie, and because at some point someone said it was the Africans who were behind all this. And all I know is it's not my native English stoner friends who have that nervousness. Which brings us back to the old story of how their forefathers enslaved mine with a pipe. But if Hong Kong was the ransom, imperial rule wasn't that bad a gig, once they got the masses to change their religion from opiates to something called economic development. And when David Cameron wore that poppy to China, the people got angry because he was reminding them of, yeah, you think you're a big boy now, but you know you still need our money. So, Dad, there's no simple ending to this bedtime story of how the narcotics came back years later to stalk and haunt the West. Because for every gram of skunk grown in London, there's at least one innocent woman being imprisoned. Every line of coke done at some banker's birthday is stained with the blood of 100 Colombians, and every once in a while, a bloke gets shot by the police under the Misuse of Drugs Act because someone once decided that too many of people who looked like him were smoking too much crack. See, the players haven't changed yet. They just handle themselves more carefully, and the story hasn't changed much, except for the dates and names, and the opium wars are just one tale of far, far too many. Because with every toke, every line, every pill, every liter of petrol, every coffee, every cup of tea, there's a million paying for it. Call it history, call it karma, if you like, because this war isn't over yet. We are all complicit. The real question is how much we're ready to face it, and how much we're ready to face the fact, and what we're going to do with this.
Yes, brilliant.
And it is
rural amorous feelings in a bag.
Yay!